So, okay, so, let me pull up this real quick. Okay, so I've been thinking about this idea of vulnerability and tenderness is a common way of expressing it. Um, I specifically in in music and especially in hip hop, lyrically. I mean, musically is a different discussion that would probably wind up veering into a whole lot of technical stuff that's not really relevant here. At least not in this one. Um, so the deal, the reason why I've been thinking about it is that there's a couple rappers active now who are considered to be who are considered to be more on the softer side, more on the I talk about my feelings. I guess what emo is one way of describing it. Anyway, I have I just been reading people saying stuff about it. Uh, Brown and Bella, it's one of the people who's talking about it. Um, hey, what's going on, Mom? What's going on, Mom? How's business? It looks like it's good. I hope it's going great better every single day. Um, but yeah, so Brown and Bella is one of the people who's talking about it. But it's an old topic at this point. This wave of feelings oriented content has been it's been popped for a minute. Uh, so this is not this is not a new idea. This is not a new conclusion. But I kind of want to just elaborate on it slightly. Uh, Man, talking about your feelings, mentioning feelings and discussing feelings is not the same thing at all. You know, um, Especially when you're talking about mentioning the topic of feelings without any actual candor, without any actual vulnerability. You're saying this makes me. I don't know. When you express disagreement, and that's pretty much the full extent of the emotional expression. That's not the same thing as vulnerability, you know. Or when you just talk about things that make you have feelings, like narrating what happened. Um, that's not the same thing as being vulnerable. And I'm saying this to be clear. Like I said, this whole woker thing is about holding myself accountable. By expressing these thoughts. So by expressing it, I have to continue to make an effort to live it. But that kind of thing, that kind of vulnerability, it can be useful to other people sometimes. So this is something that I'm cool with sharing. So if it's useful for y'all, that's great. Anyway, so yeah, but that's not the same thing as being vulnerable. Vulnerability is much more about. Also, this is not like there's no individual person that this is directed at. Like I'm not firing shots or anybody or anything I'm really more interested in the topic as it relates to being a man, and whatever that means, because that's the only place I can speak from. I mean, I'm a cisgender man, you know, and functioning in a society in that way, you know. There's a lot of problems that come with it, and I'm really interested in kind of doing what I can to tackle those. By the way, I'm a, keep rapping until I don't feel like it no more. So, feel free to, stick around. That would be cool. If you're digging it. Anyway, so yeah, it's vulnerability and being a man in this society. They're really, they're not technically mutually exclusive, but they don't necessarily both happen at the same time all the time. It's a thing. Excuse me, children. Yeah. So when we talk about situations, or we just talk about what we want, the reason that I'm saying that, trying to make it clear that that's not vulnerability is because a lot of times that kind of talk is strategic. You're saying something to achieve a certain result. You have an agenda. We all have an agenda. So when you're focusing on your own agenda in a strategic way, in an acquisitive kind of way, give me this, give me that, this is what I want, why isn't this happening, that whole thing. When you speak about it in that kind of way, you're going to get a particular kind of result. It sometimes it might be what you want, but if you always do it in that way and always are coming at it from an acquisitive kind of place, what's going to happen is you're going to wind up creating a situation in which there's an asymmetry of contribution and also an asymmetry of benefit, and that's real dangerous, for all people involved. In a man with a woman kind of situation, that's what I'm qualified to at least have an opinion about. And to be wrong about too. I have every right to be wrong about this. Everything about our society says that I should be, so it's not like I'm trying to preach or whatever, but this is my understanding for me. Genuinely, my understanding for me. Results may vary. But you create an asymmetry of benefit, and if you are a man benefiting more than your female partner is, number one, congratulations, par for the course. I know I've lived that life. I'm trying, not to live that life now. I'm dope though, so it's easier. At least I'm dope to me today, and I try to be doper daily, like vitamins. So I'm making progress, I think. But yeah, man. If you're a man benefiting more than your female partner is from the relationship, then that is par for the course. That's standard in our society. Honestly, men have to actively make an effort, like really, really try hard to outdo a good woman, a woman who's kind and is making her best effort to do good for you, because that's what women are socially instructed to do. And, you know, a lot of women are really good at it. They're really good at, you know, being present, being open, being kind. Not, you know, everybody, you know, we all have our own foibles. But I'm saying this to say that of the things that socially women are instructed to do, you know, a lot of women are really just amazing if, you know, if they get any kind of support. And that's dope. You know, it's great. It's great. But since we're, you know, not, as men, we're not socially instructed to really try very hard. Like, that's not a thing that they really say to us a whole lot. Like, give it your best shot to take care of, you know, your partner, your woman partner, whatever gradation of or category of partnership, you know, whatever style you want to call it, whatever. We're not scarf hazard. We're not taught to try very hard to take care of our partners, and so it's part of the structure. The asymmetry of benefit is part of the structure. I don't know if anyone's used that exact phrase before, but the idea is old. You know, the idea that women really aren't getting that much out of the deal. That's not new. If you listen to women, which is a novel concept, to many of us, like actually listening. I know I'm still working on it. But yeah, you know, if you actually listen to women, they'll tell you that they're like, nah, this is not what's up. What are you doing? They say it. They ask us to do stuff, and we be like, yeah. You know, and it might or might not happen. But you know, sometimes it might come out in an angry outburst, but that's kind of what happens when you repeatedly show a woman that you're not willing to listen to her, is that eventually, you know, she tries to go along with it. Sometimes, you know, depending on the woman, some women will actually just choke it down and try to, you know, try to deal with it on their own. Some will tell you right quick, which is, I think, honestly, for me, I think that's dope. Like, I think it's really cool when a woman is, whether it's in a feisty way, which I'm fine with, or whether it's in a, you know, very measured kind of way, which I'm fine with. When a woman, you know, lets me know what's on her mind, that's great. Especially when it's really clearly articulated, because then I can deal with it. Like, you know, it's, as a man not having been socially instructed to listen that well in the first place, and then just being me, like, I don't be knowing what people's talking about some of the time, for real. That's why I ask questions and be having real long conversations with people, because I'm just trying to understand what they talking about, where they coming from. So, you know, if I wrap you up, like, right now, you know, I apologize, kind of. But, you know, you can always walk away. If you still here, then, you know, you still here. Hey. But yeah, so we have to really listen. And we're not taught to. So how that relates to vulnerability is, if you're not listening, and like, sometimes women say things to us that if we actually heard them would sting, but because we're so intent on getting our point across, we don't even really notice it. Like, you know, or blow it off as though it's not a big deal. Like, dude, can you believe that she complained that I didn't wash the dishes this week? Whereas, you know, from her side, it's like, he didn't wash the dishes this week. Like, I mean, I'm saying the same thing, but like, yo, a week, depending on the person, that might be a big deal. So, you gotta try to understand whatever she's saying means to her, like not just the words themselves, but the emotional significance that it has to her, which is probably the least acknowledged. I don't know about least mentioned, but at least to me, from my experience of being a man in this society, and honestly thinking myself fairly forward thinking for my whole life. Like, I still think I'm forward thinking, and I know in reality, like, I think that, but there's a lot of people who are pretty far ahead of me, so I try to keep it in perspective. But yeah, man, it's underemphasized that we need to understand the emotional significance of whatever a woman is saying, because the facts themselves, like, we like to think of ourselves, men, we like to really pat ourselves on the back for being super rational and logical, and that all sounds cool, but what we forget is that we're operating logically, maybe, from our own perspective. But when you only operate from your own perspective, you're not necessarily going to reach a logical conclusion, especially it might not be logical to the other people involved, or person or whatever. I mean, that applies to any situation in life. We have different perspectives. We have to acknowledge, but in a male female pairing, or whatever unit of relationship, as a man, we really have to try pretty hard. Most of us, I know I do, to understand the emotional significance, because it's nuanced, man. Like women are allowed to think about their feelings, so they notice feelings that we don't notice. It's like, we talk about it like it's all hormonal, and that's trash. It's absolutely not all hormonal. It's how we're taught. Some women are more comfortable because they're not ashamed for it. Like, if you talk about your feelings as a dude, like, number one, you get, insulted and condemned for it. But number two, the immediate response is to question or challenge or dismiss masculinity and a whole lot of sexuality. Like, it's real creepy the way the dudes, like, talk to each other, and very, like dudes say things to each other that if a dude said it to a woman, no one would question that it fits the legal definition of sexual harassment. Like, wherever you're at, no one would, like, some of the things that dudes say to each other, and like laugh off like it's cool, but like, that's sexual harassment, like actual sexual harassment. And it seems a lot of the times like it's the same kind of motives, but I'm not getting into that. Anyway, so we that's another day. So we're taught that we're not supposed to feel, that you're not supposed to feel. The most human, mammal, spiritual being thing that you can do is feel. To be present in the moment, baby. Like, be there. Get in that John. Like, get up in it. Get in the moment. That's the most human thing, the most alive thing that you can do, is to be present in the moment. I mean, that exists across a whole lot of spiritual practices also. And, what we like to call instinct is feeling. So whether you want to look at it from an animal perspective, which we consider culturally feel somehow is lower, which other cultures will disagree with you about, logically, or whether you're looking at it from a spiritual perspective, which is what we consider to be higher, which, you know, as I said, other cultures will disagree with you that there's any difference at all between any form of spiritual living existence. You know, get into animism and all kinds of. Just Google's your friend. Who should pay me? So, yeah, man. Whether we want to look at it from anywhere on the spectrum of animal, physical, spiritual, emotional, you know, that being alive is the thing, being in the moment is the thing, feeling is the thing. We're taught we're not supposed to feel, which means that we're not really alive. If you're not really alive in a real way, in an honest way, in an emotionally available way, then you're not really being present for whoever you're in a relationship with. And that's really dangerous because, you know, if she's there for you and you're not there for her. Like, I don't mean physically there, obviously. We just explained this. The royal we. You know, if you're not there for her, then that is not just an asymmetry of benefit. That's actually emotional torture. And you really got to think about that phrase, emotional torture, because somebody's going to say it's hyperbole. Okay, you can call it hyperbole if you want to, but I also bet if you call it hyperbole, then whatever woman you're involved with is probably not happy, chief. So, you know, stand on logical rock, you know, lonely. Or just not lonely, but dead inside. Stand up there on logical rock. But yeah, man, emotional torture, because you know, the longer it is, the longer you make a woman feel like you don't care about her feelings, that you don't even know her, that she's living a lie, you know. There's a bunch of terms for it. One of them is gaslighting, like making her feel like none of it's even real. Am I really even in this place? You know, that's torture, man. It's really torture to cause a human being to question reality. Not that a human being questioning reality is automatically unpleasant, but forcing someone to experience and question reality unwillingly as a consequence of your actions, that's emotional torture. And that's the thing that we have to not do. I say especially as black men because that's who I am, and that's, you know, obviously I'm very black, you know, to the best of my ability anyway. But that's the only perspective that I can really speak from. But I know that, you know, a lot of these ideas are universal. It's emotional torture, and we need to acknowledge that so that we can not flagellate ourselves necessarily, or castigate ourselves necessarily, because, you know, some of us are pretty soft, and I mean not in the masculinity way soft. I mean in the like you're not. I don't mean that you're not masculine, because being soft and being masculine are really not connected in the ways, or disconnected in the ways that we culturally like to say they are or believe that they are. But soft in the sense of can't withstand real accountability and internal conflict, because that's what accountability does for you. It makes you question whether you really are who you think you are, whether you really have done what you believe you have done. It causes you to challenge the stories that you tell yourself about yourself. And, you know, those are some of our favorite stories for some of us, most of us. I mean, you know, I'm certainly the hero in my life story when I'm telling it. Maybe not, you know, somebody else is telling it, but I'm definitely I mean, I might be an anti-hero, but I'm gonna be the protagonist. I'm, I wouldn't argue anti-hero. Anyway, yeah, man. So we have to be accountable for that, and really recognize that once we're accountable, we are obligated to be honest about that, and not pretend, not lie to a woman and say, yeah, I am. That's not true. But honestly say, yeah, that's true. And I'm not gonna do anything about it. If that's how you feel, like if that's really how you feel, then cop to it. Be honest about it. And she might step, but like, who are you to keep somebody who you're not gonna treat good? You need to release that. Like that possessiveness thing, that's not cute. I mean, certain versions of possessiveness, consensual possessiveness, perhaps. I mean, not perhaps, obviously. Consensual possessiveness can be cute, or other things too. But non-consensual possessiveness, no. Ugh, you done broke the first rule. Consent, baby. Oh my goodness. So yeah, non-consensual possessiveness is not the way, fam. You gotta let that woman go if she wanna go. Some women will stay. It's not my business to talk about that. I have no information about it, really. Nothing comes to mind. I'm gonna stay in my lane on this one, but be honest. Just be honest. Be honest with yourself, man. Live your truth. Like, live your truth. Be real. I mean, it's hard, man, but take it day by day. Just do the best that you can. Like, that's all you can do. It's, literally, that's all you can do. That's all I do. Just. But be honest, man. Just be honest. Like, make that your priority, man. Make that your priority, because that's the only way you're going to get to wherever it is that you want to go. Or at least that's the only way you're going to be the person that you want to be on the way to where you're going. I can't talk about getting where you want to go, because I got miles to go before I sleep and many promises to keep. And I would cite my source if I could remember it. But y'all, again, you know how to find that. Miles to go before I sleep. So my point is that you really have to be honest, and that's what's going to make everything else possible. Because once you're honest, then you can make a real choice, be a man, make a decision. And we talk about what all the things that constitute being a man. And that's stereotypically one of the things that we say men are decisive. Okay, well, be decisive and be a man and make a move. Make a move, man. I want to make it clear that I'm also like threatening myself visually. Anyway, yeah, not y'all. I'm not trying to throw hands with y'all at all. Like, please. So, but for real, make a move, man. Make a decision, be honest, and be accountable, and then just be who you can be. That's to me, and you'll get better. Like, you've at some point in your life, you've been trash some kind of way, and you can be better. That's all you can do. Just be better, man. One day at a time, one day at a time, one day at a time, one step at a time, 1 minute at a time, one moment at a time, one moment at a time. Anyway, thank y'all very much. I hope y'all have a great evening, day, whenever you get around to checking this out. And enjoy yourselves and each other.